Good evening, Warriors, and welcome into another edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your host, Randy Isbell. With me, as always, Mr. Robert Hagan. And Robert, still getting used to things over here. Still don't have our new setup to my left and trying to push all these different buttons, and things seem to be running a little slow, and so is the technology. But
always, that is technology. It's been doing that over for Clarkson too. We've been dealing with internet stuff, and so same here. So, and even at the house. So
it's been a day. We'll just leave it at that. I did go golfing.
Yeah, I saw
speaking
that.
of sports, Haley out of nowhere decided, hey, let's go play. She hasn't swung a club in 15 years. So we had a lot of fun. We played 9 holes. It didn't take us too terribly long, but made it through. And hit a great shot on my last shot. So I've retired from golf. So
until August of next year, then, right?
Probably. Robert is here just in time. We'll get to some fun stuff here shortly. So once again, college football and the news love to spring stuff on us right after we get done with our show. But now the Pac-12 is down to 2 teams, Oregon State and Washington State. I just say leave it as is and say the winner of those 2 gets an automatic bid into the playoffs. What do you say?
Well, it's just crazy. Every game that I watched or tried to tune into this weekend, that was the entire talk was, okay, well, now these guys have gotten stronger because of UCLA and USC. And then you see, well, you got these 2 left. What are they going to do? But it was any game you turned on. And,
of course, because it's
I had my 4plex up like I normally do, and I flip around, and didn't matter which team. And even the Oregon Portland State game.
What else are they going to talk about in Oregon Portland State? All right,
it was bad.
By the way, I will give credit to a lot of the Pac-12 schools. They actually played other FBS teams. Some of them much lower FBS schools, but at least they played people near their level. That first week was brutal. There was a couple games that were interesting and were really fun. We'll talk about some of them. Some matchups that I thought were going to be a lot closer that definitely were not. I'm talking about Sunday night and Monday night. So neither of those really were that entertaining, but at least they were, with competitive teams. With so many Oregons and Portland States. And
you said competitive, and that was the first thing you and I talked about when we saw each other on Saturday, just before the LC Warrior volleyball game, was how many crazy sided 36-point underdog teams taking on the other.
It's cupcakes, all the cupcake games. It's just how it always works. Speaking of a cupcake game, on Friday, the Lewiston Bengals are going to get their first win of the year against those old cupcake Clarkston Bantams. Now, it should be a really fun one. I'm very curious how it's going to go. Obviously, with the way Lewiston sets up their schedule now, they get a team from Utah who's already played multiple times. Then they get a team from Southern Idaho. They travel down to Southern Idaho back-to-back weeks. Definitely tough on the kids. But now they finally get to come either home or just across the river. This year it is in Lewiston, the annual Lewiston-Clarkston game. And usually we have a couple representatives of both schools here, but again, we don't have that technology at the moment. So hopefully it'll all be fixed before we get to the basketball version of this and get to the Golden Throne and talk all about that. So hopefully we'll be able to make up for it as it's frustrating as it is. But I'm very excited. This is actually the first game in 4 years, maybe 5, that I actually get to work. And I'm actually finally get a broadcast on the correct side. I've broadcast with you before on the Clarkston side for this rivalry game. Now I get to be in there on the right side with Brian Danner. I'll be the color commentator for the River. You will be on the bad side.
I'll be on the Hank 92.1 for
nobody will listen to that. Nobody, not a single soul will listen to you. Who does it with you now?
It is Pete Williams right now doing, so it'll be Pete and I for most all the games. Our buddy Brian Bremling will fill in every once in a while. He's going to be doing some stuff for the Soton.
There you go.
He watched that Liberty game. We'll talk a little bit about the Liberty game.
All that will be in the second hour.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, we'll talk more about the Lewiston-Clarkston matchup. But It's always a fun week for us.
Yes, it is.
Lewiston graduate, Clarkson graduate.
At least I'm repping colors. What happened to you today?
I'm saving mine for Friday. All right. Period. All right. Let's get into it. Before we start doing our postseason and award predictions for the National Football League, I can't believe football starts in 2 days. Just kind of run down the rest of the show. We'll hit some of those big stories in college football, including Deion Sanders. And I know you said that all you heard was Pac-12 talk. All I heard was Deion. By the way, the broadcast for the Colorado TCU game, if you had to take just a sip of a beer, not even a shot, just a sip of a beer, anytime one of the broadcasters said Deion Sanders, you would not be here with us today, because that's all they talked about. Did you know that Colorado actually has players on the field?
Yes.
Fox disagrees with you because they just showed Deion. They only talked about Deion. They only showed Deion
and Shamir, and they also showed his other son. I can't remember the other son's name that plays safety.
Yeah, but
that was it.
The moment the play got done, they were showing Deion's reaction to it every time. I am sick of Deion Sanders, and I like him, and I think he's doing a good job.
You get to watch him. They've got the game of the week again.
They will have it on Fox. I will
again.
Watch something else. We will get into Shiloh. Thank you, Robert. We'll get into Major League Baseball again. We're getting into that final month of the regular season. I'm expecting at least 5 minutes of Robert Hagan thanking me for what my Yankees were able to do this weekend, because it was all my doing. Sports-related draft is really interesting. We have done the greatest day in sports history before. Broadened it out. We're going to do the best month for sports. So we will get into that. Of course, we'll get into all the high school stuff, LC stuff. We'll get into our pick'ems. We're even through the first week. It helped that we only picked 2 games different, and we split them. And we will get into Aussie Rules football as they get into their first finals week and a bit more. But all right, let's get into it. Before we get to full predictions, we got to hit the big news that happened today. And that was Travis Kelce going down, hyperextended knee. The belief is that his ACL is intact, which is very, very good. They're unsure.
Robert Taylor. I didn't need that.
TMI. For those that are not watching on Facebook, you are good. They're still not saying whether he will play on Thursday or not. I'm going to predict he's not. I'm with Robert Taylor. I did listen to his advice. I picked up Noah Gray in the one league that I drafted Kelce in. But what kind of a blow is this going to be for Kansas City early on in the year? Let's say Kelce misses, worst case scenario, right? Let's say he misses 4 weeks.
Right.
And Chris Jones does not return. What does Kansas City look like in those first 4 weeks without Kelce and Jones on this team?
Well, I think, you're going to get your catches out of and your throws out of Kansas City 100%. The guys there, and Patrick Mahomes is going to make things happen. I think the bigger story of this is still not seeing Chris Jones. And I think that's going to have more an effect on this game. I think too, because how impressed we have been with Dan Campbell over the last year and a half has been really good. And
I am impressed with Dan Campbell. He is not Andy Reid, and he's not Andy Reid in week 1.
So the main thing I'm seeing, though, yes, we know that Travis Kelce is going to be questionable. Noah Gray is going to come in. Patrick Mahomes is going to be Patrick Mahomes. But I think for me, though, I think it's going to hurt, especially in the first couple of weeks of this game. But
first couple weeks of the season, I think. I don't think this Thursday night game is going to take weeks.
I think Dan Campbell's going to make it interesting. I really do, especially with the rookie running back.
I disagree. I do like Detroit this year, and we'll get into it here shortly. But I've already given you my loser pick, which it's the eliminator, but in reverse. And my loser pick is the Detroit Lions, because Kansas City just does not lose in week 1, and it's money for them, and they'll get their rings and their banner and all that fun stuff, and then they'll go out and beat up on Detroit, and then the Lions will lick their wounds and be ready for week 2.
Well, and with that being said, so if you do sit Travis Kelce
right,
at least a month, or at least the first 3 weeks, he's ready to go October 1st against your
no, but 4 weeks.
New
He's going to
York
sit for
Jets.
4 weeks. He's going to sit 4 weeks, and he's not going to play in the Jets game. That's what I'm now hoping for.
It's a nationally televised game.
So is Thursday. All right. Okay. We just wanted to bring that up because that hit the news waves a few hours ago. So let's get into it. We've already given you our division winners for all 8 divisions. We have not told you any of our wild card teams. We're going to do that right now. Do you want to do AFC or NFC first?
Well, let's just jump into the best division there is. Let's go AFC.
Well, that's a conference, not a division.
Well,
you were not here today.
You're
saying games are going to take weeks. You're going to take.
It has been. Let me tell you.
I'm just teasing. All right, so we'll go with you first. You took the New York Jets to win the AFC East. You took Baltimore to win the North, Jacksonville to win the South, and Kansas City to win the West. Give me your 3 other playoff teams and why.
It's going to be Cincinnati. We know almost guaranteed that 2 of them will come out of the AFC North.
Is it guaranteed?
I think so.
That division really could beat each other up. It's a lot like the East.
I don't know. I've got the East in there, but I'm throwing a shocker with the East, and I don't have Buffalo up there. I don't have Buffalo in the other wild card.
Well, I'm glad Harry is watching NXT instead of us, so you're not going to get yelled at right now.
I've got Cincinnati, the Chargers, and Miami. I think after listening to you on how you drafted your team with Justin Herbert and where that team is starting to go, I think they pick up the second wild card, and I'm going to take Miami. Because I want to jump on board with Tua this year. I really hope he has a great year, stays out of injuries, and so those are my 7.
The AFC obviously is the far tougher conference to predict because 100%. There are so many teams. Robert Taylor in our comments says the Steelers. I see that. I can understand it. They refuse to ever finish under 500. That's just what they do. And with the AFC having to pick each other off, including the Steelers division, and the AFC East having to all face each other. And I think at least 3 of the 4 teams are going to be very, very good teams, and Patriots at least have a fantastic defense, so they can steal a few wins too.
They finally got a backup quarterback now too.
They've always had backup quarterbacks. That whole they cut everybody. we said on the show we knew they were going to all get thrown on the practice squad.
And Terrell of all people,
he's still not going to be the backup. Zappy will still be the backup, and everything will be just normal. Is
there anything normal in New England?
No, absolutely not.
You can't use that term. That term is so.
But what I'm saying is, we're picking 7 of the 16,
right?
And I can list off 5 more teams that would not shock me if they made the playoffs. Would you be shocked if Tennessee, who continues to always make the playoffs, who were 1 play away from winning the division last year, if it wasn't for a fluke fumble from a backup quarterback late in that game, would you be shocked if Tennessee made the playoffs? No, because they have Derrick Henry and they have a decent defense, and they just need Tannehill not to throw interceptions. Would you be absolutely shocked if the Denver Broncos turned things around with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson remembered how to actually be a decent quarterback again?
No, I think it's like you and I've talked. This conference is just so up and down, hands down, the best.
Would you be shocked if the Cleveland Browns, with Deshaun Watson, who now had a full offseason, and all the other key pieces that they have, and they've always been that, this is our season or whatever. Could this finally be a season where they made the postseason? Would it absolutely shock you? I did not pick any of those teams, by the way. I'm just throwing those out there, showing other than Houston, Indianapolis, and the Raiders. I think any of the other 13 teams, if they made the postseason, I would not be shocked. I think those are the only 3 teams in the American Football Conference that would shock me if they made the postseason. With that said, I took the Jets to win the East because I can't help myself. Bengals to win the North. Jaguars, of course, to win the South. Chiefs, You can't pick against them in the West. I will take your Baltimore Ravens as my first wild card team. I think that is going to be a very interesting 1-2 punch. I do like the weapons that Baltimore brought in. I want to see what Zay Flowers is able to do in this offense now. Odell Beckham also being there could be really interesting for them. I would like to see them turn Lamar into a throw first quarterback to try to keep him healthy. And then he can use his legs, which are very dangerous, as that backup option instead of drop back go. And I honestly think that could make that team even more dangerous because he's not a bad thrower of the football. He is just better with his legs.
100%. And I think with the offensive coordinator change, I think they went to him and said, okay, let's build this the way that will benefit you and the team.
I also will take the Chargers in my wild card, but I'm hesitant to make that pick just because, man, they made some weird decisions with the coaching staff and some of the calls that they make. Obviously, they imploded in the playoff game against the Jaguars after Trevor Lawrence throws 4 interceptions and then let them come all the way back. Could they completely implode here? Sure. They're another one of those teams like the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins that just always seem to have 37 injuries. And you just kind of mark those in. And this could be an issue for that team. And while I am with you that Buffalo is going to take a step back, I'm not going to go all the way to say that they won't make the playoffs. So I'm going to take Buffalo just ahead of Miami for that last wild card spot. So looking at our 7, the only difference we have is we have a couple of changes in order, but the only difference is Buffalo and Miami. And I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think they're 100% on.
All right, let's go to the NFC now. You, sir, took the Philadelphia Eagles to win the East, the Vikings to remain on top of the North, Carolina Panthers, which was a shocking pick to me, to take the South, and the 49ers to take the West. Give me your 3 wildcard teams and why.
I am going to take Detroit, and we've been on Detroit a lot. I think it is going to be a great 1-2 up at the top of the North, and I think Detroit has got a lot of weapons. Justin Jefferson, I think he's that good. I mean, he makes that team. Running back always still makes me a little hesitant, but I think he's going to be good. I am going to take and throw the Dallas Cowboys in.
Okay.
Micah Parsons, great. Some great defense there. And I'm going to take Seattle as the other.
I'm tempted to change mine because I also took Seattle as one of my wild card teams. I'm still not sold completely on Geno Smith being that good of a quarterback. It bothers me that he was a comeback player of the year because he didn't come back from anything. But I think there's enough pieces around him. That wide receiver core is just too good, I think, for the Seahawks. So I had Eagles in the East, Lions in the North, Saints in the South, and the 49ers in the West. And I have the same, well, 2 of the 3 because we switched the North Division titles. But I have the Vikings also making the playoffs. Right. So we just have the Vikings and Lions switched. And then I have the Cowboys and Seahawks both being wild card picks. So our only different team in the NFC is our NFC South division winner. I have the Saints. You have the Panthers. So anybody out there that is keeping track of all this, you now know the 12 teams to avoid. The 12 teams that you and I agreed on, because that's just how it works, and they're going to completely implode. How many times have we agreed? Oh, look at our baseball predictions, okay? It's absolutely crazy. Robert Taylor playing along. He likes the Commanders. That's an interesting sneaky pick. I'm not hateful on that. It'd be interesting to see that division get all 3. My sneaky team, and I almost switched the Seahawks for them, but I can't see this division getting 3 wild card teams in. It's the Green Bay Packers. We're all hating on them because they lost Aaron Rodgers. They were 1 game away from making the wild card. If Jordan Love is decent, they have some really young wide receivers that Aaron Rodgers obviously lost faith in, that maybe Love will have faith in. They have a good running back core. Defense continues to improve. So I would not be shocked if Green Bay made the playoffs. But other than that, is there anyone else? I mean, other than it will throw out the NFC South because I think any of those 4 teams can win that garbage division.
And that's exactly why I took that division and why I have Carolina. And I really like Bryce Young. I think he's going to turn that team around. Yes, he's going to need a lot of help, but I think it's a coin flip any day of the week on those 4 teams.
But are there any other teams out of the rest of the so we each completely agreed on the other 6 teams. I throw out Green Bay. Are there any other teams that would surprise you if they made the playoffs? Would the Giants surprise you if they made the playoffs with Daniel Jones? They would surprise me because I still refuse to buy in to Jones, but I mean the Giants were decent enough last year.
I think the surprise team for me, and if they make the playoffs, and it's gonna boil down to they have to do better than 5-12 last year, and Cooper Kupp's got to be healthy. I think the Rams, but they've got to turn things around a lot.
Right.
And now the Rams, not knowing if he's going to have Cooper Kupp week 1, but to go from winning the Super Bowl to then 5-12.
There's so many injuries that they had, and obviously they sold their soul to win that Super Bowl and sold all their draft picks and sold their future and all that. But again, I don't blame them because they won a Super Bowl.
Correct.
But I'm going to steal a segment from Rich Eisen, and we're going to play What's More Likely real quick for those Los Angeles Rams. What's more likely? The Rams make the playoffs or Aaron Donald gets traded at the trade deadline?
I would think if they don't get off to a good start, I think Aaron Donald gets traded.
I think that's more likely too. And that would be a massive trade. And then whoever got them would.
Who's going to give up that much?
There's a lot of teams that would do it. For sure. Absolutely. All right, let's get into the bigger stuff. AFC Championship game. I love now I'm going to blank on his name again. Nick Wright. And I love how he's now named it the Kansas City Invitational because it has been the Arrowhead Invitational, I think, because it's been in Kansas City for so many straight years. I'm going to say it is again, but I'm going to say it's Cincinnati and Kansas City because we can't lose that matchup. I think Burrow and Mahomes are the new Manning and Brady. They're going to face each other a lot in the playoffs. So that is my AFC Championship game. And give me the Bengals with an upset only for the fact, and I warned Robert Taylor of this before, I am one of those people. I refuse to put a team that was in the Super Bowl the year before back into the Super Bowl because that's not a fun prediction. I think Kansas City's fantastic. I think they'll be the 1 seed, but can't predict them because they were there before. So give me Cincinnati.
I agree with you. It is going to happen in Kansas City. It's going to be an Arrowhead. But I'm going to play Homer. I really like what I've seen. So I'm going to say Baltimore. I think that.
I'm so glad you're just jinxing your team. It's great.
I know. That division is just, it's going to be very competitive between Burrow and I think it's going to stay that way for a while.
So. NFC Championship game, we both agree. Philadelphia 100%. Eagles at the San Francisco 49ers. Dallas, maybe you could throw in here.
I think
Detroit would be an awesome story.
The biggest thing I think is Christian McCaffrey full season in San Francisco. Hands down, that's the big thing.
And hopefully 1 quarterback the whole season for San Francisco. We will see. So we both have Philadelphia winning that game. Or no, we don't.
No.
We both have San Francisco winning that game. I'm reading my thing wrong. So I have Cincinnati against San Francisco. You have Baltimore against San Francisco. Who wins the Super Bowl?
I like, as much as I want to say Baltimore, I think Christian McCaffrey, the defense of San Francisco, give me San Francisco winning.
Much as it pains me to say, because I don't want my son to be happy before I'm happy as a football fan. He was really close a couple years ago. Give me Cincinnati to defeat the San Francisco 49ers at the Super Bowl. All right, real quick, we'll do some faster-paced award predictions.
All right.
Who is your offensive rookie of the year?
For me, it's got to be Bryce Young. I think he
does not.
As much as I want to say Robinson, he's got to have that. Bryce is going to have the entire team on his back, and I think his back
is very small.
It's going to be small, but I think he makes a difference there in Carolina.
Yeah, it's Bijan Robinson. There's a reason why people are drafting him. I saw In the fantasy draft I had last week, he was drafted second. So Bijan Robinson's going to be the guy that carries Atlanta. And I think he's going to be really, really good at doing so. Who's your defensive rookie of the year?
I'm taking the boy out of Georgia. Just what he did in Georgia Jalen Carter. So it's the Georgia Bulldogs version of the Philadelphia Eagles. Is all of them. They just keep drafting more and more of them.
Mine, I will go homer with, and maybe it is because Hard Knocks has really sold me on him even more. But Will McDonald IV has a ridiculous spin move, and he is part of a front line for the Jets that runs 10 deep. So they're all going to come in there fairly fresh every play, which will allow him to just run wild. Obviously, you get him on the line with Quinnen Williams, who's going to draw a double team every single play. Maybe he can get some more space. I really like Will McDonald on that front line for my New York Jets. So I will play homer. However, you have to remember the Jets had both the offensive and defensive rookie of the year last year. So, hey, they draft okay.
We'll get to it here in a minute, but I almost took one of your guys.
Comeback player of the year. It's Damar Hamlin. He's won it. This is what it was Alex Smith a couple of years ago.
Right.
It's locked in. Does not matter. 100%. If Damar Hamlin plays one snap this year, give him the award. Just hand him the award after that first play. Stop the play and hand him the award. It's over. And by the way, that's a comeback.
Not Geno.
Geno Smith did not come back from anything like Damar Hamlin came back from. All right, who's your coach of the year?
I've been on him for a year and a half. I just like what the Dan Campbell's been doing in Detroit, and I think he can pull away with it this year.
I have to do it. Robert Saleh for the New York Jets. If they go on this run that we think they're going to make and they win the AFC East, I think he hands down will win coach of the year. A lot of people will give credit to Aaron Rodgers, and hopefully he has a good year, but this has been this building process for Saleh. He has built this defense since he's come in. This is the third year. I really think everything's going to click defensively, and that's where it will get a lot of credit. So give me Robert Saleh to win coach of the year. How about offensive player of the year?
I think it's no brainer with this one.
Andy, hold on. Andy, it's because they're too good. It's like, how many coach of the years did Bill Belichick win? Not many, because it's just one of those, of course. Coach of the year goes to that team that was not expected to do well, and then they do well. And that's why Andy never wins, because they're always expected to do well, to answer Robert Taylor's question. All right, anyways, offensive player of the year.
No brainer. I think his first full season, it's got to be Christian McCaffrey.
I hope he stays healthy. 100% stays healthy. Him and Deebo Samuel as a 1-2 punch, add in George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk. It's going to be it's really fun offense. I wish I was the quarterback, because anybody can be the quarterback on that team, which was proven last year. But I think McCaffrey just runs wild with not being double teamed as much as he was with the Panthers and everyone focusing on him. You had an interesting defensive player of the year.
So hear me out with this, because I have three guys that I wanted to put down here. One of them is Micah Parsons. I think Micah is a great athlete. I really do. I really wanted to go with Sauce too. What he did last year, putting up numbers, and what he was doing for your team, and now teams are going to go against him and try to stay away from him.
Right.
And I think is a huge thing. But I'm going to go with a guy that was a little underwhelming last year. I think he's going to have a huge year, and I think it's TJ Watt. And so I'm going to go Watt on this one.
Stop it with the Holden Gardner stuff, Robert Taylor. Stop complaining that he has figured out how to hold without the referees calling it. Does he hold? Absolutely. Does he do it in a fantastically smart way? Absolutely.
Everybody holds. Every play.
Yeah, you just got to hide it. You absolutely have to hide it. I will say that I do like TJ Watt. He's absolutely fantastic. I like your shout out for Sauce Gardner, not just because he's a Jet, but I will say he won't win it because he doesn't get the interceptions. You saw that in his preseason drive where he knocked away a ball. That's all he's trying to do, is just disrupt passes. He's not as much of a turnaround and make catches. He's just making sure that the receiver does not catch the ball, and it's not going to get as noticed as far as defensive player of the year. It helps for the rookies, but not defensive player of the year. And I think Micah Parsons could set a single season sack record this year.
That's what I was going to say. It's 22 and a half. So could you see both of these guys going 22, 20, at least 20?
No, I can't see TJ Watt getting there. TJ Watt's good, but he's not that good. All right, who's your MVP?
I got it. I'm going to give it to him. I think he's finally gotten to that point that he's leading this team. I think this team is a top-notch team, and what the Eagles are doing. But I'm going to give it to Jalen Hurts. I mean, he has done great things with his legs and with his arm over the last 2 years. Is there more than one candidate? Oh, hands down. There's a ton that could easily blow this out of the water within the first 4 weeks and say, that dude is the guy this year.
Nobody's winning in the first 4 weeks. That is silly. But I'm going to go Joe Burrow. I took Cincinnati to win the Super Bowl. I think he's going to have a fantastic season as he continues to grow. Obviously, the injury in the preseason was scary, but it looks like he has fought through it, and he will be just fine. And even if he misses that first week or two, again, nobody's winning the MVP now. They will lock it up later on in the year. Yes, Robert Taylor does, of course, say Mahomes. He's always a front runner for this award. He is insane. If the MVP was just the best player, Patrick Mahomes is going to win it nearly every single year. That's just not how these awards go. And it's just something that you have to remember. So there you go. Those are our predictions. And I'm sure when we visit them in February, they will all be correct. And we will nail all of them. You are listening and or watching to the R&R Sports Report on our Facebook and YouTube pages or on lcwarriorradio.com. If you just want the audio version and not look at our ugly mugs, you can check us out there. So thank you so much for LCWR for hosting us again during the school year. But if you want to interact, you can go to our R&R Sports Report Facebook or YouTube pages and interact like Robert Taylor and Dwayne and Eric have throughout the show. Let us know what your predictions are and why we are absolutely wrong, because we probably will be. Before we get into some baseball, let's hit quickly on college football, because it was the first week. I don't think anything has been set in stone through this first week of action. But again, Deion Sanders, that's why I put it the way I did in our notes. It wasn't Colorado wins in their debut. Deion Sanders wins in his debut at Colorado. They defeat TCU 45-42. Listen, his son, Shadur Sanders, was insane. 38 of 47, over 500 yards, which was a school record, 4 touchdowns. The weapons around him. I want to give the biggest shout out to Travis Hunter, who was making fantastic catches and then had a huge interception defensively. The fact that a Pac-12 player is playing both ways as well as he is, and it shows you how talented he is.
He is very talented, and they was just over. I want to say they said he played 101 plays or something, total plays. When I was trying to find how many times that they threw his way, he only had 3 total tackles, 1 interception. So
probably not often, and it showed, because the interception he had late in that game was really good.
And how he could jump routes, and it's like they were saying, he's a better corner than he was a receiver, and he's still receiving, at 119 yards.
I think if he does get drafted, it will be as a cornerback.
I do too.
And that is why he was taking plays off offensively instead of defensively, because he was much more effective there. We have to also remember, yes, Colorado brought in 300 new kids.
Was it 86?
It was a ridiculous amount. Like, what, 4 kids stayed, I think. So it's a whole new squad for Colorado. But TCU it's not the same TCU that we saw in the national championship game.
Right.
And they lost a lot of people. They lost a quarterback. I think they had 3 returning starters on offense. So again, can we please, for the love of everything out there, stop with the preseason polls?
I agree.
Because now we are overreacting to Colorado winning this game. It's a big win. But do I think they're one of the top 25 teams in the country? Not yet, but they are in the polls because they beat TCU, who they had ranked just because they were in the tournament last year. Yeah. Let's wait a few weeks. Let's wait 4 weeks. It's okay. You don't need numbers by school names anymore to sell these games. obviously we tune in. It's okay. And you know what? We're tuning in to watch Deion Sanders coach his first game, not TCU with a number next to their
This
name.
game's not even over, and they're already advertising that. All right, Nebraska coming to Colorado
Right,
for
that blew my mind.
Prime's.
They already set it up that way.
First home game.
Mhm.
I think the other thing that besides that is there's some big name players on from dads that played. I mean, Jimmy Horn was on there. I think Feely kid. I can't remember his name, but Jay Feely's boy is a kicker for them. So it'll be interesting and how much Deion is saying, and Deion saying, well,
it'll be
Dylan Edwards. I've brought him up and he's been part of my family for, it's going to be interesting.
It'll be an interesting year for Colorado. And I think they will obviously be far better than they were last year. But again, it's a completely different team.
They've already matched.
And I'm sure, what is it, the Big 12 that got Colorado starting next year? They're going to think they have this fantastic product in Colorado until Deion Sanders leaves and goes to a bigger school, because he will. It might even be next year. I think maybe even the moment his kids graduate, he's off. He's going to Florida State, Miami, somewhere better than Colorado. So, I mean, enjoy it while you can. But I think, the Big 12 went, we got to get Colorado because of Deion. He's not going to be there that long. It's just how it is. Other takeaways from college football through the first week. How about that Pac-12? Last year in existence, as it looks right now, and they are still undefeated. 13-0 to start the year. USC is the only team that's played twice. And give credit to the Pac-12. A couple of teams like Oregon played cupcake teams, but Colorado played TCU. Oregon State and Washington State played Mountain West teams, which everyone thinks that's where they're heading off to. So, and they completely handled business. 6 of the 12 currently in the Pac-12. We can only say 12 for a little bit, but half of those teams are in the top 25 right now. Again, it's still too early for me for these rankings, but it just kind of shows you how good this conference was.
He said was. That's
it's over. Not
right?
there. And even if like they merge with the Mountain West and just change the Mountain West name to the Pac-12 because they want to keep the more rich history.
That's the thought.
It's not the same conference.
No, it's not. And you say that it's not your grandfather's conference, and that's the way I keep thinking about it. It's because I remember growing up, it was all about the Rose Bowl and who was going to get in, and I keep thinking about. I've thought about this over the last week or so. Is what's going to happen? And we're all about stats, but to know that Pac-12 is not going to be Pac-10, Pac-8 from years ago.
So I have come to the conclusion that Oregon State and Washington State are going to merge with the Mountain West. Maybe they'll bring in a couple more teams just to try to keep their status as one of the top 5 or 6 conferences because of the way the new playoffs are going to work. It's important that to go that route. And they're going to merge, and they're going to call themselves the Pac West.
That's a strong possibility.
And if it's not the way that's planned right now, hopefully they've listened and they can steal my idea. Speaking of the Pac-12, look at USC and Caleb Williams, who everyone believes will be the number 1 pick. A lot of people think he's going to be the second all-time back-to-back Heisman winner.
Congratulations, Arizona Cardinals.
He is off to a fantastic start. 36 of 49 for 597 yards, 9 touchdowns, and no interceptions in his first 2 games. Couple of other crazy games that I watched bits and pieces of. Florida State outscored LSU 31-7 in the second half to win that one 45-24. You and I got that one incorrect. And then do we need a 5-minute segment on is Duke for real? Because they took care of number 9 Clemson, who's now still somehow in the top 25, but Duke took care of them 28-7. So is Duke for real? Is it because they don't have a former NFL player as their head coach yelling at reporters about them not believing before that we're not getting on to the Blue Devils here?
I've never even watched Duke even play a football game, so I don't even know what their
because they went years
would be or
Duke
anything like that.
Duke went years without a win. in football. It was I want to say it was like 4 or 5 straight years. If Eric's still listening, he can let me know because I'm sure he knows. But Duke went like 3 or 4 years without a win at one point. And in the last 20 years, was brutal for them.
I think the funnier thing of these two games that you just brought up is how much Brian Kelly and them and why am I drawing a blank? Sweeney were so hard on themselves and basically said we didn't game plan right, and basically just hard on themselves.
Of course.
So it's going to be
they're not going to publicly put the blame on their kids.
I mean, you
maybe in the locker room they will.
Yeah, but now you know with the way that it is all set up, you're one loss. Guess what? You're not making it into the playoffs.
I don't think that's the case for LSU because Florida State was ranked, so that won't be as big. If either of these two teams run the table,
31-7 though, second half. That's going to be a big point. If it boils down to how they looked at things at the end of this season, when they start getting these teams in there.
Dwayne wants the answer to the trivia question we had at the beginning of the show. I'll pop it back up. Which television network was the first to broadcast a college football game? Who were the teams and when was it, Robert? Even though I disagree with your answer, go ahead.
It is Duke at the University of Pittsburgh back in September 29th of 1951 on NBC.
Now, again, Wikipedia disagrees with you.
What you believe?
But
Wikipedia
I don't know the
says.
broadcast that it was.
Everybody can post on Wikipedia. You know that, right?
First televised game. Oh, this was football. 1939.
And you said it was a trial, and this was
the
first.
It was a trial game.
Got Duke right. There you go.
First televised football game from NCAA. Let's see what they say. It's the exact same one. There you go. You are both incorrect. September 30th, 1939, Fordham against Waynesburg.
What station was it on?
I don't know.
What station was it on? You are listening to LCWR.
It's a good question.
Coming to
let me continue reading this article. I don't even think they had stations at the time. Here you go. A pair of iconoscope cameras captured the action and sent a signal.
Of what kind of camera?
I don't know. An old camera and sent a signal to a relay station, which sent it on to the Empire State Building to be broadcast via RCA and NBC on W2XBS, an experimental station started for the World's Fair in New York City that year. Estimations of the television audience vary from 500 to 5,000 people, while 9,000 were in attendance. So it was broadcast by NBC on W2XBS. So nobody got that right. You're all incorrect. Thank you. This was on NCAA.com, not Wikipedia. There you go. That is the actual correct answer. And now we're all dumber for me trying to say whatever those cameras were called.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to Major League Baseball now. And
you forgot we're back in station. We better plug the station.
I just did before we did the college football.
Maybe I'm just
literally 30 minutes, top of the hour, bottom of the hour, top of the hour. I'm
lost
a professional.
Track of time.
We're at the corner hour. What would you call 45? The right corner hour. That's where we're at right now, and we don't do that. They don't pay us at all. I was going to say enough. They don't pay us at all to plug them every 15 minutes. They get it every 30, and that's what they get. Major League Baseball. Ohtani out of the lineup again. There's a chance that he's going to need surgery. It's just whether it's Tommy John or not. His agent does believe that he will be a two-way player once again after his surgery. We will see what happens with all of that. Just sucks. Absolutely sucks for Ohtani. I'm not going to say it sucks for the Angels. They did this to themselves, but I just feel bad for Ohtani. I do not feel bad for another Los Angeles pitcher, Julio Urias. was arrested on domestic violence charges back on Sunday night, booked and posted $50,000 in bond, waiting for his court date. Team did not let him travel with them. It's a second incident of domestic battery in the last few years. He was suspended 20 games back then, even though he was not charged. So good chance he might be done for the rest of this year and a good chunk of next year. And good riddance, sir.
Yeah, you hate keep reading about these things. So how about this one? I read this story this morning a little bit. The rookie third baseman out of Minnesota, Mr. Royce Lewis, 3 grand slams in 8 days.
He's decent. He's a decent baseball player. And if you got him in fantasy, which I did not, you're feeling pretty happy with yourself right now. Speaking of home runs, Julio Rodriguez, congratulations to him. 25 home runs this year. He's the first player in Major League Baseball to have 25 home runs and 25 stolen bases in both of his first 2 seasons. Anthony Volpe will be the second next year. He's got a little work to do to get the 25 part. He's at 20 on both, but still. You ask who has the better month in September?
Yeah.
None of those 3.
Yeah, so
you have Julio Rodriguez, Mookie Betts, or Alex Bregman. None of those 3 will have the best month.
The best month of them?
No. Jason Dominguez is going to have the best month.
Gotcha.
He has landed. The Martian is here. He hit 2 home runs against Houston. By the way, you have 5 minutes. I usually only give you 30 seconds.
Well, we're already over time.
You get 5 minutes. You could take the rest of the show to thank me.
Thank you.
And my New York Yankees for what the Yankees did to Houston this weekend.
Listen, we left a lot on the table with
No. I don't care what the Mariners did. I don't care that you spoiled our present to you. It's all about me right now. It's all about me. It's all about the Yankees and me. Go ahead.
Didn't we both go 6-4 over the last 10?
It doesn't matter about the rest of the games. We swept.
Yes, you took care of the Astros.
If you do not give me what I want, we're going to go back in time and we're going to blow these games for you. And then you're going to be in third place in the division.
That might be a possibility.
God,
yeah,
man.
Listen,
I
what you guys did.
One thing. It's been a horrible season as a Yankee fan. We had some fun. They brought up the kids. The kids looked good. Aaron Judge was like the oldest player on the team on Sunday. And they swept Houston. and all you're doing is, well, we didn't do anything great. No, because you're the Mariners.
We had an okay week. But yeah, you're right. I mean, what they were able to do, and you guys were down on Sunday where you came back and hit, was it 3 home runs that day?
Saturday, I think they were down. Sunday was a good back and forth game. But yeah, it's as a Yankee fan now, it's cool to see the young kids, and as a Mariners fan, it was cool to see the Yankees help you out just a little bit.
So that's going to lead into some questions and ask Randy time.
Okay, let's bring it.
So here's one, and I didn't put it on here, and I should have. I forgot to type it. Does the New York Yankees finish above 500? Right now, they're currently
they're right at 500 right now. Yes, they will finish over 500.
Okay. So these questions came from an article I read earlier on ESPN, and they asked a panel of 17 players, and I want to know if you agree with them.
Okay.
Who will finish with a better record, Atlanta or one of the hottest teams this year, the Baltimore Orioles?
Well, Atlanta has a 4.5 game lead on Baltimore right now. They're the better team. They're playing better right now. Give me the Braves.
Okay. In the article, 16 of them said the Braves. So next one, who will be the number 1 seed in the NL? Atlanta or LA Dodgers?
Is a 6-game lead for the Braves over the Dodgers. Well, I think the Dodgers are the hotter team right now. 6 games is a lot with less than a month to go. So give me the Braves.
Now I'm going to hurt Eric Watkins' feelings just a little bit.
Okay, that's okay.
Who will win the AL East? Will it be the Baltimore Orioles or will it be the Tampa Bay Rays?
There's 3.5 game difference coming into the day. Tampa Bay, they are tied right now with Boston. Baltimore just started. I'm going to say the Orioles still. I like some of the moves that the Rays have made, but they just lost their closer. Or was that? Yeah, was it them or Baltimore that lost their closer? I knew it was somebody up there. Yeah. So it was Baltimore. It was Felix Bautista, right? Yeah. So Baltimore losing their closer could definitely hurt. But I'm going to say the Orioles still.
All right. So who will finish in the bottom of the National League East? Will it be the Mets or will it be the Nationals?
Man, what a mess. What an absolute mess. They are, a game and a half different. I like what the Nationals have been doing. So I'm going to say the Nationals. Give me the Nationals in fourth place, even though the Mets right now have a slight lead.
And that's the thing is they have the Mets. That's who they predicted. All right, this is one that's going to go down to the wire. We've said it. Who wins the AL West? The Astros, the Mariners, or the Rangers?
Well, it won't be the Rangers because they have decided to have a committee battle on who can blow the game worse. They have taken Will Smith out of the closer role because he was blowing games. Now he's being fantastic in the 8th inning, and Aroldis Chapman is blowing games. So we can take them out. I am now with you. I poo-pooed your idea about a month ago that Texas was going to fall apart. I did not realize the bullpen was going to be what fell apart. I love their lineup, but they might not even make the playoffs at this rate. So it's between Seattle and Houston, and I will ask one more time. How much thank do you give me?
They needed we needed your help, and that's what we needed. So you took care of business and knocked off the Houston Astros.
Well,
so we do appreciate that.
It's still not the 2 words I was looking for. Houston wins the division. Because you didn't say thank you. That's all I was looking for. I was just looking for a thank you. Like Trish Stratus and WWE Monday Night Raw. Just asking for a thank you.
We didn't even put any of that stuff from Payback into the notes.
That's true.
So, all right. So this was one that really caught my eye, and I didn't realize a couple of these guys had caught Shohei Ohtani that much. And yes, he has been hurt.
Right.
Who will finish with more home runs? Will it be Shohei Ohtani, Matt Olson, Pete Alonso, or Kyle Schwarber?
Well, Olson hit one tonight. I want to say that I saw that Alonso also hit one tonight. So they continue to be red hot. Olson is right there. I think he's either tied or now one ahead of Ohtani. So give me Olson. He still has a lot to play for as far as getting that 1 seed.
All right. So 2 more questions, and both of them we're going to do one for NL, one for AL.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you the NL one question first. Give me one bold prediction that's going to happen in the last 1 month of the season for the NL.
In the NL?
In the NL.
I'm sticking with my guns. I've been saying this for 2 months. San Diego, even though they're 6.5 games back, are going to make the wild card.
All right.
Do you see how insane the NL wild card is right now? I have stuff brought up, but the internet's been so wonky. I don't want it to mess things up. But Philadelphia right now is in. Chicago Cubs are in. Arizona is basically in a dead heat with Cincinnati for that last wild card. The Marlins are a half game back, and the Giants are 1 game back coming into today. And the Padres, like I said, are 6.5 back. The Pirates all of a sudden are winning games and are 7 games back. 6.5 was a lot to come back from. That's why I don't think the Yankees have any chance at 8 games back. But I can't quit this Padres team. I can't. They are still fun to watch. I still want my prediction in the preseason or the spring training to be correct. So that is my bold prediction. They go on a run finally.
Yeah, even watching them last night, they were the game on MLB Network, and being down, they were down 5-0 to start, and then came back and worked their way back. All right, now same thing with the AL, and why I laughed about it, and I put it in here. One of the panelists says Aaron Boone gets fired before the playoffs.
It won't happen now. I'm worried that the young kids are going to play well, and the Yankees are going to go on a bit of a run, and he's going to save his job, and it's going to be frustrating. Yeah, they're going to finish over 500. I do believe that. I like what they have been doing lately. That is not my bold prediction. That is my hopeful prediction that Aaron Boone goes away. I've been saying that for years. Bold prediction. This one's a bit more tough because where can you go that's bold that I actually believe in? Would it be bold to say that the White Sox also reach 100 losses at this point? They're 85. Is 15 losses in their last 20, 25 games or whatever they have left? Let's do quick math. They've played 142, so they got 20 games left.
Yep, 20 games.
20 games exactly left. I'm going to say they go 5-15 and finish with 100 losses.
All right.
Is that fair?
That's 100%.
They're winning right now, so it's going to mess everything
It's going to
up.
mess it up.
But that'll be my horrible, bold prediction. Scoreboard update. We'll do that real quick for you as well. Final so far, the Twins took care of the Guardians 8-3, gives them a 7-game lead. Now Milwaukee took care of Pittsburgh 7-3. Miami with a big win over the Dodgers. I saw Brian De La Cruz with a big home run for the Marlins. Again, in that crazy wild card right now. Marlins with a 6-3 win. The Yankees with another win. I would say they're playing spoiler, but they're playing the Detroit Tigers right now. But they won 5-1. A big series for who's going to finish last in the NL East. The New York Mets took care of the Washington Nationals 11-5. Your Mariners had a big lead.
Huge lead.
There's no more lead. They're going to extra innings right now, tied at 6. Also tied is Boston and Tampa Bay. They are in the top of the 9th inning. St. Louis is over Atlanta 10-6 right now, going to the bottom of the 9th. White Sox with a 6-5 lead against the Royals, which will really blow up my bold prediction already. San Francisco with a 6-4 lead over the Cubs and the going to the bottom of the 7th. That's a fun series, as is Houston and Texas, though the Rangers are not having any fun right now. It's all Astros. They lead 9-1 in the 7th. And early on right now, Baltimore and the Angels are tied in the 2nd. Blue Jays and A's are tied in the 2nd. Philadelphia and San Diego are tied in the 2nd, all scoreless. And then Colorado and Arizona have both scored 1 run. They're in the bottom of the 1st. All right, real quick, let's get our weekly awards for baseball. And I will go first. Give me Trey Turner, shortstop for Philadelphia. He has been absolutely red hot. I think he hit another home run yesterday. But as far as last week goes, 9 for 23, batting .391, 4 home runs, a double, a triple, 6 runs, 11 RBI, and 2 stolen bases.
I'm trying to live vicariously through my my team that I was predicting to be the national champions, the World Series champions. And I'm going to go to St. Louis and Jordan Walker. 5 games, he went 10 of 18, 5 runs scored, a home run, 2 doubles, 7 RBIs.
By the way, I misspoke. Cincinnati and Seattle is not going to extras yet. They're bottom of the 9th. It was mid-9th at that point. Cincinnati got a runner on with nobody out now in the bottom of the 9th. I'll keep you updated, Robert.
No.
Just to let you know. Standout pitcher for me, how about Justin Steele? He's been phenomenal for the Cubs as they make a playoff push. 2-0, 14 innings pitched, gave up just 8 hits, 3 walks, 0 runs allowed, and 20 strikeouts.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the kid from Cleveland, the closer, Emmanuel Clase. He was 4 games, 3 save opportunities, got all 3 of them, gave up just 1 hit, and that 1 hit was a home run. But having a whip of .025 and an opponent batting average of .77 over those 4 games.
That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Power rankings, I would once again pop it up, but it's the exact same as last week.
Yep.
So, Robert, you have Atlanta, Baltimore, Dodgers, Rays, and the Mariners. And I went Braves, Dodgers, Orioles, Rays, and Mariners. There you go. Now it is time. You are listening and or watching to the R&R Sports Report. You can listen live on lcwarriorradio.com. So thank you to LCWR for once again hosting us here on the campus of Lewis Clark State. They're going to get a new soundboard and stuff in here, and everything's going to work fantastic by the end of the year. Just working through the bugs right now. You can also catch us live on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Just search R&R Sports Report, and that is where you can interact with us live while we go through the show. Give us your predictions, yell at us, do whatever you want. Keep it family friendly, please. But have your fun over there. And that is also where you will be able to interact with us when we do our sports related draft. But I have to do my little radio thing and say it's currently 78 degrees outside, beautiful skies. It was nice when we went and played golf.
Some of us had to work, so I mean,
I don't work on Tuesdays.
I would have loved to win and play golf. It would have been better than what I was doing.
Right. All right, let's get into our sports related draft for this week. And I already brought it up earlier on in the show, but we have done the best day in sports. But how about the best month? Because I'm still upset that I lost that sports related draft because multiple times you took events that took multiple days, and that's not a day. And then Jesse Knight hates racing, apparently, and decided to take half of an event over 2 events happening on the same day. It was just criminal what happened to me in that. But it won't happen here because we are picking a full month of action. Right. I picked the topic. You get the first pick.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of a no-brainer, the very first one. And
breaking.
No, don't tell me. I don't want to even look at my phone. I don't want to look at anything.
Encarnacion Strand singled to right center. De La Cruz scored. The Cincinnati Reds defeat the Seattle Mariners 7-6.
Man, you lose 2 to the Mets, 1 to the Oakland last week. Now you're losing 1
You
to
would
Cincinnati
be far out of first place if it was not for my New York Yankees.
Thank you.
What the heck just happened? Hopefully the stream's still going. There we go. All right. Everything flashed for me for a second. Go ahead. Give me your first pick. Why haven't you given me your first pick already? What's taking you so?
You wanted my reaction.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm having fun.
It's one of those days, for me, I have to, as much as I love football, I'm taking September. It's the start of the NFL season. You've got the playoff run starting to take place in Major League Baseball. This is where a lot of people up and down. Where are you going to finish things? College football, the first full week of college football is in full swing. And the best part, it is bowling season, start of the bowling season for us. And so that is a sport. I had this argument with a teacher that is subbing today, and she wanted to do more of marching band was more of a sport than bowling was. I was like,
do you compete in marching band?
Well,
it's an
active thing. Watching Tori, what she did was crazy, and watching on their toes and how they move and staying stiff and straight.
I will not discredit marching band people.
No,
because what they have to do is ridiculous. I just don't know if there's marching band. If there's marching band competitions as a sport.
No, I think so. It's just crazy, but
it's just like I will defend cheerleading. Cheerleading is a sport. They have competitions, and they battle it out. They do their practices during games of other sports. But they do competitions. It's a sport,
and that's 100%. The thing. And people say, "Well, no, bowling isn't." Well, no, you just sit and eat food and have an adult beverage while you throw a ball down the lane. No, have you watched some of those guys? The way they throw? I mean, it happens.
Also, have you not been to beer league softball? That's a sport. They do the same thing.
Exactly. Well, and she brought up the whole Olympics thing. I'm like, well, yeah, just because bowling's not in the Olympics, they have walking. Power walking is an event in the
esports. It's making it into the Olympics. Crazy. That's a sport. It's in the name.
So my first pick is September for those reasons.
There is a reason why I brought this up now. I think September is up there for sure, where you get near the end of baseball, the start of football, add in the bowling stuff. That's totally fine. However, to me, the best month, and we say it all the time, is March. So you get spring training. So you get that belief from all 30 teams to believe, hey, this could be our year. Look at all these young kids. You get that. The NFL, even though they're not playing games, free agency has now started. And you get all of that for that entire month. And then the build up to the draft, which we will get to the actual event in another month. But you get that entire build up. The NFL is very center stage. But of course, March Madness is the main thing. People that don't even follow sports get into the brackets. And yes, the national championship game is in April, but by then the non-sports fans have disappeared because their brackets are blown. It's all about that first weekend. We've talked about that for the best day. So you get March Madness in there and us wrestling dorks. This is the time that if you have not really been watching wrestling for the whole year, you get yourself ready for WrestleMania. Some of the biggest storylines start happening on those shows. So the road to WrestleMania happens, and it's very exciting time as well. So March, the best month.
I kind of agree with a few of them. The spring training, we always just ended it all the time. So I don't know. NFL free agency, there really isn't a down month anymore with the NFL. They have something going.
They try.
They try. They want you in.
the NFL has down months, but sports talk radio and the argument shows that are on all of the different sports networks now, they just can't get themselves to debate baseball. So then they come up with things for the NFL.
We have to deal with Skip Bayless and people like that don't like any of that.
Yeah, so they will just bring up LeBron James versus Michael Jordan for 3 weeks straight, or who is going to dethrone Patrick Mahomes, or what other goofy stuff is going on.
Yeah, no kidding. For my second pick, I'm going to take and make that 1 month change, and that is April, and so taking April, start of the Major League Baseball season.
Yep.
Yes, the NFL draft happens. You've got the NHL, NBA seasons are coming to an end. We start all the other playoffs.
We start the 18 months of playoffs.
The 8 months, yeah. WrestleMania is there, and it's now become a two night event. And for me, it has one of the other ones on there, and it's one of the biggest why I follow it as much as I do. It is the first big major of the golf season. It is the Masters.
The Masters is good too.
For me, there's something about seeing that green grass on either Easter weekend or that weekend after, and just watching. So,
well, while you went 1 month after my first pick, I'm going to go 1 month after your first pick. And you can kind of see our favorite times of the year. But it's kind of the same reasoning why you brought up April. That's why I'm going with October. So you brought up the end of the regular season. How about the playoffs and the World Series? So baseball coming to an end, and we see who's going to end up holding up the weirdest trophy of all time with all the flags and stuff. The NFL, you get 4 weeks of that.
All right.
Absolutely fantastic games. You start, we're now in what, week 5, 6, 7, 8-ish time. Some of the seasons are starting to come together. Same thing with college football. Conference games have now really started in that sport. You get a lot of the rivalry games starting to show up. NBA and NHL get started at that point. So for those that are really into that sport, now they're diving into that as well. And you still have the NASCAR playoffs going on. You're not quite to the championship races, which happen in November, but you still get some big races. Talladega, I think, is in there. So, yeah, there you go. A lot of different sports happen in October.
Yeah, 100%. So my last one is January.
Yep.
And part of the reason I went January is because we're diving into the last 2 weeks of the football, regular season football. It's time to start thinking, okay, who's making the playoffs, who's not. You get the hype of seeing that it's almost race time. It's time that that the golf schedule really gets into full swing. Yeah, all about the PGA, and they're making their big push right after Christmas. It's time to start. Here we go. And then you've got basketball right there, the college month of, okay, it's time to start seeing the college basketball game. You see a few in December, the Christmas ones, but it's college basketball time. It's time to talk.
It's getting there.
Gonzaga. It's time to talk.
It's almost time.
Kansas Jayhawks. It's that. So that's why I went January. And playoffs almost there, but you're going to take the other one. So
the playoffs are there in January. Yeah. You also forgot the Royal Rumble. I'll help you out a little bit.
That was the other one I was going to
I, of course, am taking February, the month after yours, because the Super Bowl is in February. The Daytona 500 is in February. I guess you can say the NBA and NHL All-Star games are there, whatever. I'm not huge on those. College basketball is now getting into conference tournament time. That will bleed into March a little bit. I think February has a lot of fantastic stuff. Golf is now starting to get into swing a bit more. For us, bowling is now starting to get closer. So if you're in all these leagues, you've now got a month or two left. So you're trying to battle for position unless you're in our league, and your season is now coming to an absolute close. But there you go. That is my pick. So Robert has September, April, and October. I have March. Or do you have October? Did I say October? September, April, and January, for Robert. And for me, it's March, October, and February. Let us know in the comments down below who has the better team of months. It's a tough one. It's an absolute tough one for sure. Quick scoreboard update for you, just so I can say one more time that the Cincinnati Reds defeated the Seattle Mariners 7-6. St. Louis took care of the Braves 10-6 in that matchup.
I forgot the other major thing that January was all about.
What do you got?
It's the college football national championship game is in January.
Well, yeah.
That was the one I forgot.
It doesn't count because you didn't bring it up. You also messed one on September, but I won't help you out anymore. A couple other things going on. Boston and Tampa Bay still tied. They're now into the 10th inning. They're all tied at 5. My bold prediction is still alive. They're all tied up at 6 now between the White Sox and the Royals. Bottom of the 9th inning. The Royals have the bases loaded with 2 out. I'll keep you updated because everyone is pins and needles on that game. Cubs have a 7-6 lead over the Giants in the bottom of the 7th. They're also threatening for more. Houston all over Texas 14-1 in the 7th. And no other scores in those late games as of now. Let's get into some local events and get to some high school football. You were there for Clarkston versus Moscow. Looked like a pretty good game. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, it was a great game to start out for both ball clubs. I mean, 0-0 after the first quarter, lots of defense in that one. Then Clarkson opened it up and in the second quarter, and then early in the third, Carson, senior quarterback, had a great 53-yard touchdown scamper after being set up by a great kickoff return by Luke Seiler. Luke Seiler, quick wheels, didn't play a lot over the last couple years, but he played early season for me back in 7th grade, but back out there, going to be a great setup, man. Couple bad plays happened. We had onside kick. Moscow came back. Moscow's got some depth in the receiving. Kevin Anderson, he looked quite well. He had a couple of scores in that one, but have one really bad play on an onside kick. You watch it go, and that's the thing. You watch it go right off the Clarkson guy's hands. He's set up the way he should, and it hits just off the tip, and the ball goes straight back. So unlucky there. But Phantoms do hold a couple of times on 4th and goal, one of which 4th and goal on the 1, and don't let Moscow score. So great things. It's going to be a great season. I think Moscow's got a chance to take a couple of wins this season.
Yeah, they definitely look like they have improved from what we've seen before. Rob Baffis has a pretty good squad up there in Moscow. A couple other scores for you this week. Capital took care of Lewiston 45-28. They just, again, back-to-back trips down to Southern Idaho. Definitely tough on the kids. Hopefully they can bounce back for the Lewiston-Clarkston game and see what they can do as the season actually gets into full swing for them. Asotin, I was told you last week, I was wrong because you just never know with the first game of the year. Liberty took care of them last year. Asotin was fantastic. They took care of Liberty 45-19.
Our buddy Brian was on the call with that one. He said that Liberty is missing a couple of players this year, but highly impressed with Asotin's quarterback. I'm not sure who that is there right now, but it's going to be a decent season, according to Brian, for this Asotin Panther team.
Jim Holman, friend of the show, always has a pretty good squad there. They've struggled there the last couple of years, but it looks like he's got some talent there. Again, Kendrick struggled early against Oakley and then continued to show how dominant that team can be. They won 44-22. We talked about Lakeland and their defense. It was the offense that took care of Pullman in that game, 42-21. Kamiai continues to show why they're one of the top teams in their classification in Idaho. Dominated Lapway 52-8. Potlatch dominated Genesee 74-8. A couple of other scores, a lot of shutouts going on. Grangeville took care of Parma 51-0. Council over Lewis County 50-0. Cascade over Timberline 62-0. And then another local game as Liberty Christian took care of Pomeroy 38-26. Before we move on, go ahead.
I was going to say the one shocking game for me was Colfax lost. And Colfax has been quite well over the last couple of years in that division. and it's a team that you don't like to say. They've cut out two towns now, but Linritz, Phil Sprague looked really well from the highlights.
They cut
I
off
saw.
the fat apparently.
And but it's really shocking that Colfax struggled in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on to some other stuff, I'm still trying to get complete information on everything, but we talked a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago at this point, that Idaho was talking about changing classifications.
Right.
I think it was during baseball season, so it's been a few months. The IDHSAA or that IHS, whatever, the weird board voted against it back in the spring.
Right.
So he was like, well, it's just not going to happen. The schools have vetoed that. There's a way that they can overturn their call, and it does now look like it is going to take place, I believe, next season. I don't know if because they got pushed into September, if it has to wait another year before all of this stuff takes place. So I'm still trying to get full clarification. For anyone that does not see or does not pay attention to a lot of this stuff, for the Idaho classifications before, you had 5A down to 1A, but then 1A had 2 divisions in it.
Right.
Now they're just going to make it 6 divisions. So we're having the same amount of divisions. They're just changing the classifications up. I did see a lot of people on Twitter losing their minds saying that they're expanding it too much, thinking that we're adding classifications to Idaho. We're not. One of them even brought up, well, Washington only has 4. I'm like, and the guy rightfully said, no, you have class 1B and 2B as well. There's 6 classifications in the state of Washington. So again, it doesn't change too much. However, for a certain local team, the Lewiston Bengals, it means a ton.
It's going to be huge.
So again, everyone basically is moving up 1 number, except for those in 1A. Some of them will go to 2A. Some will stay in 1A. Everyone that was in 5A before gets moved over to 6A, except for 2 teams. And I believe Mountain Home is one of them, and Lewiston is the other. So Lewiston basically, because they're changing the requirements as far as enrollment goes, and Lewiston doesn't quite meet the new requirements. It's obviously got to be really close because they didn't change it a ton. But Lewiston basically, if you keep the numbers the same, are dropping down to 4A as soon as next year, which would put them in the same division as Lakeland, Sandpoint, and Moscow instead of Coeur d'Alene, Lake City, and Post Falls. That helps me because now one of the road games is just up to Moscow, and I don't have to just travel to the Coeur d'Alene area 3 times. I still will have to with Lakeland and Sandpoint and such, but it's also really big for Lewiston because they're playing a lot smaller schools come state tournament time. Now they're not, baseball doesn't have to go down and play Owyhee in the first round of every baseball tournament. So just your thoughts on if this fully goes through now and the schools look like they are pushing it through, your thoughts on what that does for Lewiston.
It's a long time coming, but I think that is going to be a big thing is now you're going to see Moscow more frequently. But it makes me wonder, some of these teams that we have heard, I still think Lewiston's going to travel a ton. And
well, of course, they're going to have to.
It's going to have to.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Everything around here is all in, and not take nothing away from White Pine League, 1A or any of those. Right. Those guys, there's some great talent in these small rural towns that are around us, and we have lots of folks that that benefit. We see all the time, but who would we face? I mean,
it's going to be the same teams. So the way that it works out right now is in the current format, 5A and 4A just play each other anyways. Right. Lewiston still plays Moscow, Sandpoint, and Lakeland because you're just trying to fill out teams. There's just not a lot of teams in the northern part of Idaho that are in those classifications. The northern part of Idaho are full more of the White Pine League teams, the 8-man teams. So it's tough for Lewiston in any sport, really, to get that kind of competition. So in basketball, even though they were in the league with Coeur d'Alene, Lake City, and Post Falls, they were always playing Lakeland, Sandpoint, and Moscow at least once, usually twice. It's going to be the same thing. the Lakeland, Sandpoint, and Moscow games are just going to matter more. And the Coeur d'Alene, Lake City post-fall games, in basketball at least, will still count as division games, but only as a tiebreaker, and then it gets all muddy. But the big thing is they are going to stay in that 4-team league like they did, and it'll be interesting to see Coeur d'Alene, Lake City, and Post Falls all right next to each other. Always have to do the top seed is now in the championship, best 2 out of 3, as the 4A used. It's going to be interesting how it all works out. But in the end, I think this works out beautifully for the Bengals because now they're no longer the smallest team in the big pond of 5A. They're now at the big school in the small pond of 5A. So again, the way the numbers work, it gets really convoluted, but in the end, it's really good for the Bengals.
And we could see a huge thing with it in Washington. I mean, I dislike having to play, even though we've got now 9 teams, 10 teams in GSL, which Clarkson is part of GSL.
Right.
But now we've got to deal with still the idea of crossover. And I hate the crossover with CWAC because you're almost guaranteed. CWAC is always guaranteed 1, but GSL has to play in year 1 and year 1 and 2 and hope you get through CWAC to get the other end. Why can't you take one team out from GSL in an auto?
Well,
where CWAC
again,
already does.
Nothing I've seen has been confirmed, but I remember when all of this was going on, a lot of the other things for Idaho, they were talking about a lot more crossover games to get more people into postseason action. And that's one thing with the GSL. Yes, you're not making it straight to the state tournament, but they look at those crossover games as playoffs. And then it's like these other major organizations where they want to expand the playoffs so more teams get in and they get more revenue from it and yada, yada, yada. Money.
It's all about the money.
So there you go. That'll be interesting to see what happens with the Bengals there. We'll talk about more about them when we get to our predictions here shortly. Real quick, LCSC news. Volleyball split their 2 games here at home this weekend. They lost a fantastic 5-set match against Northwest on Friday. Really struggled there at the end of the second set, and it just looked like they were going to kind of go, well, we've lost this one and move on. Kenzie Dean, who did not play in the first 2 games, she's still nursing a bunch of injuries, and Katie Palmer is trying to ease her into the early part. Obviously, you want her there for the ending part, and we've had Kenzie on the show. We've talked to her in between games. She's one of the toughest athletes in any sport that you and I have ever met. She will never pull herself out of the game. She landed on the floor hard on Saturday, and everyone else was concerned except for her. She got up and said, leave me alone, and we're fine. So she missed the first 2 sets, comes back in. She is the glue of this team by far, and there's some fantastic ladies around her, but LC made a fantastic comeback, won sets 3 and 4, and then lost a tough 5th set, 16-14. Came back against Evergreen State and played phenomenal all 3 sets. They were able to sweep our old favorite Gooey Ducks, and
notice I never
2-1 in conference play.
You notice I never said Gooey Ducks over the.
Did you not? I had to say Gooey Ducks.
I kept saying Evergreen State.
We do now broadcast once again the volleyball games. If you want to listen to the radio version of it, right here on lcwarriorradio.com. So I have to talk a lot more than I did the first weekend, but it's a lot of fun. I will not be on the radio this weekend as LC is out of town. They will take on Oregon Tech on Friday at 7 p.m. and then number 19 Southern Oregon at 5 p.m. on Saturday. The following weekend, they'll be back at home. And I'll remind you, if you ever want to listen to a guy just ramble about a sport he barely knows and just trying to fill time and how fast the action is in that sport, definitely check that out.
There are some great I thought about you. I spun around when that one long rally we had was in the second set.
Well, I think it was Evergreen. It was either Evergreen State or Northwest. The very first point of the game was really, really long.
And this one was in the second set because I looked at Noah, and as I was looking at Noah right next to me, I looked up at you and I'm thinking, you've got to be huffing and puffing after this one. It went back and forth, back and forth.
I'm a veteran at this now, so I just, after a couple back and forth moments, I just go, what a fantastic rally. And then that'll buy me some time. and then hopefully somebody will have finished it by then. Cross country got their season started, and it went off pretty well. They were named the Cascade Conference Under Armour Team of the Week. The 13th ranked women finished 5th, and the 14th ranked men finished 4th at the Northwest Clash in Cheney. Let's get into our football pick'ems. We're now all of a sudden a few minutes ahead of schedule. I don't know what happened here, but we both went 6-4 last week. I'll put that on the deal. There we go. We both went 3-2 in high school. We both went 3-2 in college. We both missed the Lewiston game. You believed in Lapway and were incorrect. As Cammy, I took care of business, and I told you I was hoping I was wrong going against the Soton. I was. You got that one right. And then we picked all 5 games the same in college. Now we're up in it.
Yep.
10 high school games, 10 college games. Here we go. And by the way, if you want our NFL picks, that will be posted on our R&R Sports Report Facebook page every Thursday.
Yep.
We do that so we can have some fun here. We predict the Thursday night game, which, by the way, picking Kansas City.
Right.
Both of us are picking Kansas City, but we'll have the rest of them on Thursday, partially because we're in a bowling league that does a pick 'em sheet, and we want to make sure they don't think we're cheating. So we post them early on there. All right, let's get into it this week. 10 high school games first. And let's start with West Valley at Lakeland, who has been really, really good. They're starting 3-0, so give me Lakeland.
I'm taking Lakeland too. I had the opportunity. My buddy's got a sophomore that is playing for the Eagles, and he told me they are missing a lot of veterans. They've got a very young crew, but Lakeland's hot. I'm taking
Troy. See, have not started off as well as they would have liked so far this season. One of them will get their first win this week. Give me Troy.
Yeah, I think Troy is the hands-down favorite in this ball game, even though Bulldogs, I think they have a chance to play a little bit better this year.
Lakeside takes on Deary. Give me the home team Mustangs.
Yeah, the Mustangs all the way on over Lakeside.
How about Prairie at Potlatch? Who you got?
You know, this one I kind of hem-hawed back and forth with a lot on this one, but I think I'm going to take the Loggers of Potlatch.
This could be the game of the week.
That's...
White Pine League action always is impressive. Again, if you were not paying attention a few minutes ago, Potlatch beat Genesee 74-8. Prairie took care of Troy 54-16. So both teams putting up a ton of points.
Over under on points.
Over 100.
Over 100, you think? Okay.
Will you take the over or under if I put it at 100?
I probably would take the over. I think so.
And I will take the home team with you. I will take Potlatch. So first 4 games, we've all picked the same. Couple of undefeated teams so far. Logos, who received votes in the last media poll, versus Camii, who I believe is ranked 3rd. Who do you got?
I am going to take a hot team that has been just crazy and take nothing away from Camii. I think Logos has got a chance to it. They're playing quite well.
Logos was like our Tribune favorite team last year. We really liked some of the players, and some of the stats they had last year were insane. So we kind of got behind that team. They took care of Clearwater Valley 34-20 last week. Camii, again, they blew out Lapway. I think they could make a state tournament run. So give me Camii in that one in our first difference in the pick. Let's move to some Washington games. How about Chewelah versus Colfax?
I think Colfax needs to bounce back, and they need to do it at home. So give me Colfax.
Colfax with their struggles last week. I'm afraid of them. I will say the same disclaimer as I did for Asotin last week. I hope I'm wrong, especially now that we have Ty here, who works for the college over there as an assistant athletic director. See him through all the volleyball games, and a former Colfax player himself.
Cheney.
Was it Cheney?
Cheney.
Sorry. It was Cheney. I always get those two mixed up. My apologies there. So that's true, Colfax. That's not true. But give me Chewelah. Waitsburg at Pomeroy. Pomeroy struggled last week. Waitsburg is okay. Who do you got?
I think the okay is just going to be a little bit better than the struggle. I'm going to take Waitsburg on the road.
I'm going to take Pomeroy. Hope they can bounce back a little bit. How about Asotin at Tri-Cities Prep? Listen, I went against Asotin. I'm not doing it again. Give me the Panthers.
Yeah, after talking with Brian on Saturday how the game went, he is highly impressed. So I will give me a Soden. So I'm looking forward to that.
You saw Moscow in person last week. They take on Pullman. Who do you got?
Pullman is getting their program back up where they are at, but looking at the wide receivers, what they were doing to the Bantams and kind of attacking the defensive backs and the linebackers, I like Moscow. So give me Moscow over Pullman.
I'm going to take Moscow as well. Obviously, being able to talk to the Pullman coach again in the preseason, you have hope for that squad. He's a pretty good guy. But Moscow, as you said, looked pretty good against Clarkson. I'm going to go with your word on it and take the Bears. All right, finally for high school, the big one on Friday over there at Bengal Field. Go get your tickets wherever the tickets are sold. They're all over the place. Go donate to whatever causes both schools are doing and go help all of the events. Robert and I will be there in person on the radio on the River and Hank. That's a silly radio name.
Hank, 92.1. Yes. You're on the River,
105.1. The River, way better than Hank. Lewiston, way better than Clarkston. That's just how it goes. Lewiston is not one. They've been waiting for that first win, and they get it against the arch rival Bantams. Get it done, Bengals. Purple and gold all the way. Give me Lewiston.
Yeah, I think Coach Bai kind of rights the ship with the guys giving up some late points in the game against Moscow. I think they find their way to get in there and attack that Bengal defense and hold them winless. So give me Clarkson.
Those are our 10 high school picks. We'll get to our college picks in a minute, but it is the bottom of the hour. And Robert, what does that mean?
It's time to tell me, how warm is it outside right now?
No, man, that's just a top of the hour thing. We give love to the radio station,
Always. Love and temperature.
LCWR right here on lcwarriorradio.com. Go listen to student-led programs all throughout the week. If you go to their new website, you get a whole schedule and a whole calendar of when other events are going on. There's another sports show earlier on in the day that I keep forgetting to pay attention to and see what they're talking about. What I love about this radio station is some of these students are just not afraid of their passion. Bryant, who's in the other room right now working on stuff, he is a station manager. He is a big nerd like I am. So on Fridays, he does a complete video game music hour. So if you want to listen to video game music for an hour and they play games and stuff and all that stuff, go check that out.
That'd be cool.
The advisor for this place, Seth, does heavy metal music. Turn on his show in December because it's all Christmas themed metal music. It's going to be fantastic. And just every single person has their different stuff.
Yeah, and I was just saying, you go to the DJs on their website. We had the chance to do that. They talk about each person. Picture of our R&R up there, so which is cool. So
absolutely. Also, if you want to check out our Facebook and YouTube pages, just search R&R Sports Report. That's where you can see all the articles that Robert finds amusing and posts on our site, because I am terrible at social media stuff. And also you'll get our picks every week and be able to interact with us live right here on the show and let us know how we are doing and where our predictions are wrong. Still looking for some votes, by the way, for our sports related draft. We'll hit that up real quick. If you are just tuning in, or if you're listening live and you would like to hop on real quick and give us your response. The best month in sports, Robert took September, April, and January. I took March, October, and February. So let us know in the comments if you have just tuned back in who ended up with the better sports-related draft this week.
So it's kind of like the Colin Cowherd, where Randy was right, where Randy was wrong.
Where Randy was right, where Robert was wrong. You were close. It was so close.
So close.
All right, college football picks. Again, 10 of them coming at you. Just one game on Friday. Mac has not gotten into full swing yet, so we can't go crazy with those. Can't get into those just yet. But Illinois takes on Kansas. Give me the Jayhawks.
Yeah, I'm taking the Jayhawks in that one too. So easy pick there.
Rest of the games are on Saturday. How about number 10 Notre Dame at North Carolina State could be an interesting game, but I like what I saw from Notre Dame in their opener. So give me the Fighting Irish.
Huge opener with that team, and how do you go against the Fighting Irish? So.
You got on me for not putting Colorado in our pick'em last week. I put him in this week. Home debut for Deion Sanders and other people, I guess, that are on the football squad because, again, Fox only cares about Deion Sanders. But it's Nebraska at number 22, Colorado. Who do you
got? Colorado is favored by 3. I'm going to take Colorado.
I was so tempted to take the letdown game, but I think that place will be rocking. We saw pictures during like their in-school scrimmage stuff where they filled that place. I think they will again. So give me Colorado. I think the falling back to earth will happen soon, but it will not happen this week. Interesting game between two teams we normally would not watch, but we will hopefully check out because we predicted them. Number 20, Ole Miss at number 24, Tulane.
I'm interested to see what Tulane did last week, just to get them a top 25 would be in at 24. Right now, Ole Miss is favored by 7.5. I think Ole Miss on the road is just too much.
I forgot to put the notes in there, and now our internet is running like molasses. So hopefully you guys can even hear us right now. But the quarterback for Ole Miss had like almost 600 yards last week. I mean, we talk about Colorado, but Ole Miss looks absolutely strong offensively. So give me Ole Miss as well. We continue to agree. Hopefully Eric's not listening. Number 23, Texas A&M at Miami, who got a good win against the other Miami last week. But the Hurricanes are not playing some team from Ohio this time. Give me Texas A&M.
Yeah, give me the Aggies. And it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be as close as what people think it is.
In the second part of the home and home contract between Wisconsin and Washington State, the Badgers, number 19, looking for revenge against the Cougars, who went into Wisconsin last year and pulled off the upset. I'm going to take Washington State again.
It'll be interesting. It's a home game. First home game, a lot of hype already. I'm hearing of people coming in to watch this one. I'm going to take the road team. I think Wisconsin finds a way to avenge the loss from last year.
Idaho takes on Nevada. The Vandals last year had a couple really close games against FBS teams. Washington State was one, and it was Indiana was the other team last year. Nevada struggled last year, but they got a lot of returners this season. They took on USC in their first game, so you can't really take too much from that. But give me the Wolfpack. Nevada gets the win.
So this is the only reason I'm going this way, and it's second-year coach, and I'm going to take Idaho. Idaho was
okay,
and the only reason I'm doing this is they were so high on this team that they were second in the Big Sky, and I think they gives them a little bit more of a chip to play, a little bit harder. I think they knock off the Wolfpack down there in Nevada.
There you go. Idaho State takes on Utah State. Give me Utah State.
Does Idaho State still have a team?
I think so.
I think they suck because everything I've seen, they are bottom of the list of every one of them. So I'm taking Utah State.
Hey, we need easy win somewhere. And with that said, we're going to get it wrong. The big one of the week, number 11, Texas at number 3, Alabama. I don't think Texas has a chance. I know Texas is getting ready to move on to the SEC next year. This is going to be a rude awakening for them. Give me Alabama.
Yeah. Alabama favored by just over a touchdown. I don't think it's a contest. I actually think they cover, and they cover substantially. So give me Bama.
Finally, Oklahoma State will take on Arizona State. Late Pac-12 at night kind of football, but with Oklahoma State involved. Give me Oklahoma State, but it'll be close.
Yeah, it's going to be really close. I'm going to stick with the Pac-12 just because they were perfect last week. Yeah, they were perfect last week. So give me Arizona State.
Updates for you in Major League Baseball. My bold prediction is still alive. Kansas City came back to beat the White Sox 7-6. Boston has a 6-5 lead over Tampa Bay, bottom of the 11th inning. But the Rays have runners at first and second, nobody out. Chicago has an 11-7 lead now over the Giants, bottom of the 8th inning. Astros all over the Rangers 14-1. That one's in the bottom of the ninth. No way that Aroldis Chapman can blow that save because they're down by 13. As I am giving you these updates, the Tampa Bay Rays 3-run home run from Brandon Lau. The Rays beat Boston 8-6. Congratulations to Eric, if he is still listening. Baltimore with a 2-0 lead over the Angels, bottom of the fourth. Toronto and Oakland still scoreless, bottom of the fourth inning. San Diego with a 1-0 lead over Philadelphia, bottom of the fourth. Try to get that bold prediction going. And Colorado with a 2-1 lead over Arizona. That one going to the fourth inning as well. All right. Aussie rules football time, sir. We had a week off as they get ready for the finals. The regular season is done. We are down to our final 8 teams, and all 8 teams are in action.
Yep.
We will predict them right now.
All right.
Again, I love this playoff format. Do you?
It's growing on me because, you got the top 4.
Yeah, we get the 4 best teams playing each other in this first week.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting. The other 2 loser out. I think it's a good format.
It's the best format in all the sports. Thursday at 2:20 a.m. Pacific time. So record it, watch it however you need to. Just find it on the Fox Sports app.
All games are going to be on FS2.
There you go.
So
top seeded Collingwood will take on the 4-seeded Melbourne Demons. Winner moves on to the semifinals. Loser continues their season next week, but would be 1 loss away. Who do you got?
I know you've been talking about it. But I think Collingwood's got enough. I think Melbourne could pull this off, but it's been that season of anything's possible in that middle group, and it just played that well all season. Collingwood had a couple of down games, but I think they're ready to go. I think they're going to come away with a win there.
I'm going to go with the upset. Give me Melbourne. Both teams have not been fantastic over the last month or so. I believe both teams lost to Hawthorn, of all things. I know Collingwood did. But give me the Demons for the upset. Start off the finals off right. Friday at 2:50 a.m. Pacific time, your 5th seed Carleton versus your 8th seed Sydney Swans in a loser out game. I've loved what Carleton has done all year. The fact they just missed out on the top 4 because there was too much of a gap is rough for them, but I think they're going to go on a run. Give me Carleton.
Sydney had a hot end to their season. That kind of led me to go that way, but I think just playing too emotional, and so I'm going to take the Blues.
Also a loser out game Friday at 10:20 p.m. Pacific time. 6th seed St. Kilda versus the 7th seed GWS. Perfect game for us to watch as we come down from the highs of Lewiston beating Clarkston on Friday night. Give me GWS.
This one is one that can coin flip either direction for me. I'm going to take the higher seed. I'm going to take St. Kilda.
And then finally, Saturday at 2:25 a.m. Pacific time, and a winner moves to the semifinals. Loser will move into the other part of the bracket. 2-seed Brisbane versus 3-seed Port Adelaide. Who do you got?
I'm going to take Port Adelaide. Just to mix it up. It keeps us 3 games different. So I just wanted to make sure that we're going to have an outlet. We're going to have a winner, one of the 2.
So spoilers, I do take Brisbane on there. So we take 3 games different here in Aussie Rules Football. Definitely check out at least the highlights on YouTube. Aussie Rules Football, absolutely fantastic sport. And now they're down to the final 8 teams. They'll be down to 6 after this weekend, and we will follow it all the way through the end of September. PBA still getting ready to fully get into their season.
Yep, they're finishing
got a couple other tournaments going on. Regionals are still going on throughout the country, so we're not quite there yet. As you said, leagues are in full bloom now in the area. So if you're in the Lewis Clark area and you want to get into a bowling league, there's all sorts of leagues that are still looking for spots.
Except ours.
Phil, ours is
we still have a waiting list.
Prediction from you, our 15th year doing our NFL bowling league.
Right.
Who wins it this year?
I don't know. There's a couple of teams shake up moves. You get some of those ones that don't get where we should.
Right.
So, hey, I went homer on us earlier. I'm going to go homer on Baltimore. We make the playoffs.
Yeah, no, George played Aussie rules.
Wow.
We'll have to get that story from George before. That is awesome. I didn't even know he was into Aussie rules football that much.
Dude, now we got
there you go.
Stuff to talk about now.
Absolutely. That is really, really cool to hear. Aussie rules football, I would absolutely love it. But the correct answer is me and Tony. We're taking it down this year. I'm tired of choking things away. I'm coming in with a vengeance. I got this brand new ball that literally came out a month ago. It has yet to be rolled down the lane. That's still, you played a game. That's totally fine. I played a season of rugby here at LC, and my body still hates me for ever doing it. It was a long time ago.
Well, I think it also was all the backyard wrestling that you did too.
I blame the 1 year of rugby, not the 8 years of backyard wrestling. Okay. Backyard wrestling is fake. Remember, wrestling is fake, and it doesn't hurt anybody. That's what everybody says. But yeah, I'm taking this thing down. I believe in myself. Also, we have a bunch of numbers in. So once again, I'm going to bring this up one last time because we have yet to get a single vote. George, we need a vote. We need a vote from at least George. Anybody else out there that would like to vote, please do. But as we finish off the show, Chris is here too. The 3 practice of rugby, I still feel. I get it. Absolutely. And actually, the worst injury I had in rugby was in practice. I got completely folded up and things in my back were very, very, very upset. Eric is here too. Brisbane wins the flag. I like that. Absolutely. All right. So we also got people here. Guys, we started the show at an hour and 45 minutes ago. I don't know where you guys have been, but thank you so much for coming in. Sports-related draft. Best month in sports. We did the best day in sports. Robert cheated and picked multi-day events. I'm not bitter about it at all. I'm more bitter. I'm more bitter that you did not thank me for my Yankees.
I said thank you.
Sweeping. Not well enough. I wanted 5 minutes of groveling. And you know what happened to your Mariners today? They lost.
Yes. Thank you.
It's karma. Anyways, best month in sports. Robert picked September, April, and January. And I picked March, October, and February. So you got to let us know who had the better month, September, April, or the best group of months of September, April, and January, or March, October, and February. What are the best months for sports? Let us know in the comments, and we will finally pull out a winner. While we wait for that, we'll get into NASCAR a little bit. Darlington was a pretty fun race. Kyle Larson ends up getting the victory and clinches his spot into the round of 12. Tyler Reddick finished second, Chris Buescher third, William Byron fourth, and Ross Chastain fifth.
Even with the lights going out in turns 3
yeah,
and 4.
it was more than the inside. Oh, Eric, go back to tutoring. Eric picks Robert. That's disappointing. Though, again, there was our months were so close to each other.
Yeah.
I totally get it. And again, I brought up the topics because of September being so fun. So I totally get it, and I'm not too mad, but I'm still waiting for Chris or George to get things going. That's a complete mix. So I guess he's voting for you.
May, we didn't even have May. Uh-oh.
Wait, hold on, George. George says best month is May. Yes,
Haley, you can...
Hold on. Best month, May, because of the NAIA World Series, which I agree, but that trickles into June.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, and spring training. George, Major League Baseball is 2 months into May. And NASCAR is every month. February has the Daytona 500, as Haley pointed out. Oh, yeah, and the Jets in Green Bay were in October as well. I brought up NASCAR multiple times throughout my thing. Spring training in May. George may have gotten his head knocked around while playing Aussie Rules football, the one game that he had. And now I worry for George.
I want to know what position he played out on the field. That makes things interesting.
Yeah, I got George
No
on my vote.
way. Come
So
on.
that is 2 votes for Randy, 1 vote
You guys all begging.
for Robert, and then Chris just picked months.
So he picked September and January, and those are 2
February.
of mine.
But
so Chris has mine.
I would say Chris voted for Robert. I mean, so we're tied 2-2, and that's okay. We're having a lot of fun.
Anyway, we talked about the lights going out.
The lights.
In
it was more like the
4,
infield that really went out. They did stop the race for a little bit, and the race turned out okay. They go to Kansas next week. 2 more races left in this round of the NASCAR playoffs. Right now, it is pretty close. Right now, the 4 teams that would be, or 4 racers that would be eliminated: Bubba Wallace, Kevin Harvick, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Michael McDowell. But 3 of them are only 4 points out, and then McDowell 19 points out. So it's still very, very, very close. And of course, if you win, you get in. We got a few minutes left here on this show.
So I was going to say, they did announce the Ryder Cup teams. I want your reaction.
You want the Ryder Cup.
I want your reaction.
You do understand that I have fallen off of golf a little bit, and I don't know half of these names. So go right ahead.
So for Team Europe, we're going to have Matt Fitzpatrick, who has had a great year, Tyrell Hatton, Victor Hovland, who won the championship, Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose, Shane Lowry, Sepp Straka. Those are the big names off that list.
Yeah, but that's not Team USA, so they lose.
So then Team USA, Jordan Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Scotty Scheffler, the number 1 in the world, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Max Homa, Ricky Fowler, Patrick Cantlay, Sam Burns, and your favorite player from the Live Tour, Brooks Koepka.
And Eric was right on top of it. It's just the first time Tiger Woods has not been on the Ryder Cup in like 20 years.
Something like that.
I've fallen off watching golf. And yes, Haley almost fell off a cliff while we were golfing. Okay, well, tell this story right at the end. And by the way, while I tell this story, I want everyone that is all of a sudden piled in here. And I appreciate every single one of you for hopping on at least for a few minutes on the show. I appreciate every single one of you. You missed our Super Bowl predictions, so I need your Super Bowl predictions. Who makes the AFC and NFC championship games? Who makes the Super Bowl? Who wins? We will repeat ours before the end of the show, partially because all of a sudden we're ahead of schedule and we need 10 minutes to fill. So it's great. But anyway, so we went and played 9 holes of golf today.
Okay.
And I already told you we played the back 9 at Brighton. And for anyone that's played there, that last hole has this big downhill start. And then you kind of go back up the hill towards the clubhouse. Haley, who has not swung a club in 15 years, we had a lot of fun. She had a couple good shots in there and a couple of duffers, and same with me, because I play once or twice a year. But she duffed one pretty short right to the top part of that hill on 18, and then she gets up there and hits it again, and it goes off to the right towards where the canyon happens, and had the bright idea to chase it.
Oh, no.
So she's running down this hill after the golf ball that is going towards the canyon. Luckily, she did not slip because as one of her former coworkers who was hanging out at the clubhouse and laughed with us when we finished, if she would have slipped, she would still be rolling to this day.
Oh, no.
Luckily, she did not fall, and she did okay. And then the next one she hit went down the hill, and everything was hunky-dory from there. Real quick, we will repeat our Super Bowl picks. Eric saying Buffalo is going to win the Super Bowl, beating Philadelphia. You did not even have Buffalo in your playoffs.
I don't have them in the playoffs. I took Miami instead of Buffalo.
You did. Bills, Jets, Seahawks, Cowgirls. Seahawks, Bills, and the Seahawks win. I was with you with the Jets making the AFC Championship game, Chris. And then you fell off with the Seahawks. We both do have Seattle making the postseason this year, so I'm not totally against your picks. Robert, give me your AFC and NFC Championship games one more time, and then your Super Bowl.
So I went AFC game is back at Arrowhead.
Chris says sorry. I love it.
It's back at Arrowhead. We talked about that. I think I'm playing Homer this year. I love what's happening. I'm taking Baltimore at Kansas City. They am upsetting them. And then I have Philadelphia losing to San Francisco,
Mhm.
and then it's going to be San Francisco taking home the trophy this year
against Baltimore. We agreed in an NFC Championship game of San Francisco beating Philadelphia. I just love the fact that Christian McCaffrey is there all year for that team, and hopefully they're not using 17 different quarterbacks. I really like that defense. Obviously, they need Bosa to come back. Chris Jones, obviously, with Kansas City is a big deal there as well. And in the AFC, I have a different AFC Niners. I have a different AFC Championship or AFC North representation in the AFC Championship game. Give me Cincinnati at Kansas City. As I said earlier on in the show, this is our new version of Brady and Manning. Will be Burrow and Mahomes. They face each other all the time in the postseason. There's other good quarterbacks out there. Josh Allen can be the Ben Roethlisberger where he'll win here and there. But
we didn't get much guff from both of us taking the other teams over Kansas City from Robert.
Well, because I warned Robert Taylor, who was listening earlier on in the show, that I refuse
to back-to-back.
to put anyone that made the Super Bowl last year in the Super Bowl again this year. So I put them both in the championship games because I do think there's a high possibility that we get a repeat Super Bowl, but I refuse to ever predict that because that's no fun. But I will take the Cincinnati Bengals over the San Francisco 49ers, which means my son will be able to live out a Super Bowl before I get to, but hopefully I'm a year away. Chris liked my team a bit more and having the Jets in the AFC Championship game. I hope he's right. It'd be fantastic. I just want to make the playoffs. Absolutely want to make the playoffs. Real quick, I'm not all the way through Payback yet for the WWE.
So then we'll hold off.
But that's fine. I've seen the results and I've seen some of Raw. I just have not watched it all. But I do have to say, if that is the last match for Trish Stratus, she went out with a bang. That steel cage match with Becky Lynch where she had a big knot on her head. Give her full kudos. Go look up the picture she posted after her match with all the bruises and stuff on her arm. It is brutal. But finish the show real quick. Your thoughts on CM Punk getting fired from All Elite Wrestling?
I have not seen that one yet.
So. He got into an altercation at All In, which was last week. They had All Out this weekend, which was in Chicago. Hometown of CM Punk. They fired CM Punk Saturday morning, and then they had back-to-back live shows Saturday and Sunday in Chicago. Not the best timing there, but CM Punk got in an altercation with another wrestler who said something on the air during All In. CM Punk took offense to it. They got in an altercation literally just in the backstage area. If you're not a wrestling fan, they call that the gorilla position, which is where all the monitors and stuff are, where people are there to kind of give last minute instructions to. It got so bad that Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, was worried for his life because CM Punk was losing his mind. Somehow they calmed it down, and CM Punk then went out and wrestled that very next match. He got fired a few days later. So CM Punk back to WWE ?
It's interesting because I did see an article, and that you bringing that up, I did see an article of him possibly was supposed to be coming back of, what was it, in 2022, right around Royal Rumble time, and things kind of got pushed off, and so
things kind of changed.
Maybe it is time for
Survivor Series is in Chicago, I believe. And that would be a good one. Bring him back Survivor Series, have him be in the Rumble, have him do Mania.
There you go.
It'd be great. We will see how all that goes. It's just fun wrestling drama if you want to check it out. And I just wanted to shout out Trish Stratus because that was fantastic. Also, if you're listening to us and go, wrestling is dumb, wrestling is fake, wrestling is scripted. No, we could do 2 hours on this stuff. It is a form of entertainment, and I totally get it if you're not into it. However, WWE posted the main event of Monday Night Raw last night between Gunther and Chad Gable. Please go watch it.
Unbelievable.
That match is insane, and there were many times where you went, that dude literally punched him in the face and or kicked him in the face, because Gunther is so good at laying stuff in where he's not injuring his opponent, but his opponent is feeling it. Like, I'm sure if you talk to people years down the line when they go, who is your hardest person to have a match with in the ring, they're going to say him.
Yeah.
Because he's laying that stuff in hard.
He was unbelievable. That match last night was hands down one of the best matches I have seen.
Absolutely. Fantastic. All right, that is going to do it for another R&R Sports Report, 147th. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Check out all of our predictions for week 1. They will be posted on the site on Thursday. Okay, George will get back to us. So definitely, George, on our predictions on the Facebook page, give us your Super Bowl predictions in the comments and let us know. So our predictions for week 1 will all be posted on Thursday. Maybe do you want to post our high school and college ones on Wednesday? Maybe
we'll have to remember not to delete. Start editing our stuff for
right
next week.
Keep all those out there, and maybe we'll get you guys involved with that as well. Next week, we will break down all of week 1. It's here. The NFL season is upon us. Will I have a smile on my face after the Jets play the Bills on Monday Night Football? Who knows? We will see. It all starts in 2 days.
Yeah, and hands down, Battle of the Bridge is one of the biggest weekends that we always have here in the Valley. Besides, Golden Throne, NAIA. This is one of those weekends. So if you have not got your tickets, make sure you go around to the high schools and pick those up.
A fan app. What was Chris, message me on Facebook what that is. I don't know what that is, but just contact me on Facebook, Chris, and we will discuss that because I'm down for whatever. I have no problem expanding stuff. Anyways, also, I keep trying to leave and then forgot. Power rankings. We'll be back next week, Tuesday morning. I got to contact everybody that's been part of our group and make sure they're all still down. They did a great job of getting the preseason one out. We are ready to go. Those will be posted Tuesday morning. Lots going on in the R&R Sports Report. But until then, that is Robert Hagan. I am Randy Isbell. Go Bengals against the Bantams on Friday. And also, until next week, go Warriors as well. But this is the R&R Sports Report. And until Tuesday, we are out.